Hello, thanks for joining me again. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the book Myre, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I believe this comes from a German woman named AlectorFencer, and I think that's a guttural R. There's the thing, so Myre, and it's pretty well done as far as being oil, like all digital oil paintings. I believe these are digital. it's 160 pages of story and then a little bit of bonus in the back, so it is huge. I wonder why does it kind of fall open to that one. Yeah, all right, so here we can see some normal panels for not procedural, sequential. Oh look, it came with a little bookmark ribbon. So it's also big, like if you didn't notice, it's too tall for the frame, and I can't move my camera up or back anymore because the tripod situation is weird. But here is a regular sized comic, which I enjoyed thoroughly, this one. And there you go. So this is as wide as A4 paper, but it's taller. So because A4 would probably come out to about there. So there you go. This is a big book. We'll get back to samurai and dinosaurs later. Bye, dinos. So Myre starts in a world created mostly by the dragons, which is great. She, the author, starts out with, these are pretty much beautiful paintings. I like them. And I was having some trouble working my review with this, and somebody gave me the term concept art. There's a lot of landscapey stuff in this book that you could term concept art, but I don't think that's a problem. I don't believe it was intended in a derogatory way. And so I like how she's done symmetry here to show a world flourishing and a world dying. She does start by explaining some things about the world that won't come into play till later. Other than that, there were more dragons. They spawned the lower races, what would be humans, but this is kind of a book of anthropomorphic animals. And the humans stole a jewel from the dragon. Not humans, excuse me. You get the idea. The children of the dragons children races stole a jewel from the dragons. Chaos ensues. The world falls. And they couldn't find the jewels to return them again. This is very well laid out. I would take issue with one piece of vocabulary. People don't know the difference between jealousy and coveting and envy, so I'll let you look that up. And that's a very common error now. But these things here really are just giving you the layout of the book to come. And we're going to see all of these elements, I'm sure, by the time the series is over. So this is definitely a planned story, not a fly by the seat of your pants type. Now here's a character whose name escapes me. I totally forget names. I think the white dragon is something like Vargas or Varus. I'm not sure. But this guy's one of my favorites, so we'll get to him later. When we dive into our story, we start out with, again, potentially concept art, as it was called. But she's giving us these, double page or double width vistas to look at. And I think one of the things I really like about this is when I see this stuff, it's like when I look at certain types of trading cards, they let my imagination wander. It's not always, oh, I can get lost in that, but more I imagine the possibilities, if you would. So here is Myre, our title character. As she comes riding in, she has some narration, which is her thoughts, as far as I recall. It's a mix. It's a middle voice between her thoughts and a third-person narrator, so it's a little bit unclear. She's a smoker, apparently, and what this is, originally, it's like I didn't like her. I liked the book, I liked the story, but I didn't like the character. Well, it's because you're not supposed to. So she is one of those characters who's like an anime character. She's very arrogant up front, and the protagonist in anime is usually the whiny one who has to grow up. She's not whiny at all, but she definitely is arrogant and needs to grow up. So, here's a little critter greeting her on her way into town. In this, and we get a lot of. I like the cityscapes shown in this book because you get a lot of being able to see what the layout of the town is on your way in. So it's not that you really keep a map in your head, but you do get a sense for the feel of the different towns, and the towns or cities, and they're all different from each other. So this characterization here is realistic. One of the first really bad moves we see from her is a small child asks her, is that a real dragon or just a snake with legs? Because in this world, which is called Yuria, Yria, there are snakes with legs as opposed to dragons. So I guess. And she screams at the kid, for no reason. It's just, she's ridiculous. But she's very pushy and brash, as you would expect. It's like anime. She's in town, she gets some food for her ride, and then she is looking for fuel for her lighter, goes into a saloon, gets eyed by a shady character, is basically rude about being told we don't sell that here. I guess fuel in this area is sort of a black market thing that nobody wants to be associated with. And then the shady character convinces her, oh, I have fuel, just walk with me out here, and she gets jumped by a small gang. So one of the things about this that I liked in this has to do with some of the criticism towards comic books that we've had lately, where how would a petite little woman fend off, almost any man if you just, average to average? Because believe me, there are athletic women who can fend off, medium men, no problem, even medium trained men, and petite women who can do that. But this book is a little bit realistic in terms of the I don't want to say mistake they make, because it sounds like these aggressors would be, should be successful. They're not. They're evil. These are evil characters. They fight her one at a time, and so she fights smart, and where they use brute strength, she uses dodge, a little bit of cunning. They're trying to steal anything valuable from her they can, obviously, because this is a robbery. They're trying to steal her whistle, which has other values to it. We know that she uses it to call her dragon to her, but outside of that, I think it's probably going to mean more in the story. So she fends one off. The snaky guy, look, a snake with legs, she fends him off, with just a simple gut punch, but he gets a slice in her side, and that wound comes up later. And the third guy is like a hyena, but he's also looks a bit like a wolf. And here he is, Mr. Hyena. She is being held down by him, grabs his ears. I don't know if you can see that in the frame. Grabs his ears, pretty smart, because she's going to... Now, why he took his hand off of her face, I don't know. But good thing he did, because she headbutts him in the nose, which is enough to send him reeling. It's not a full incapacitation, but he's reeling. So yeah, and also while she's under one... Oh, see, here her knee is up in his chest. So if she were to take her right leg and catch his knee under him, she could actually roll him off that way. So this is presented as being she fights smarter, not harder, except for letting someone sneak up behind her, etc. She is able to get out of this situation with her dragon's help. But look at the attitude she walked in with. Very brash, very pushy, easily misled. This reminded me a lot of Pinocchio. But less this scene and more later when it happens again. The Pinocchio thing where Pinocchio gets taken in by the gang on his way to school, and they sell him off to a trader. I haven't seen or read Pinocchio in so long, so it's that kind of thing where her naivety... One, it's a little bit hard to believe that as a nomad, and that's what she is, that she would be so naive as she is, but that's just what the character is. She is naive. So in the next town over, her dragon literally drags her in, and we get, another large vista. This town has its own characteristics. Let me get you some other stuff. The children are always very innocent and childlike like this. They call him Boozer. So he's the guy who hangs out at the tavern all day. He's a bit early into the tavern. I'm thinking of pictures that are in the third town. So we get to know him a little bit with the tavern keeper. And Boozer is... her dragon takes her, as she's wounded, into this next city where Boozer is, and he tends to her wounds, and she is horrible to him. She's drinking a medicine that contains alcohol, so considering different topical things, this was a topical medicine he used. Don't drink topical medicines, just tell you that right now. Anyway, she's pretty nasty to him, even though he just sewed up her wound, and she still insults him. And so she insults him as being a nobody who knows nothing. And he's reminiscing. Now here we get more of this concept art. The thing is, I really like these paintings. I think they're well done. They are, they can be concept art, but here he's reminiscing, and it portends that he has seen a history of this world and the wars with the dragons that have gone on, and so there's much more to this world to be revealed. So as he sets her up for a favor. Let's see. Now, I like how when he faces off with her dragon, there's something mystical going on, and it's not, oh, it's mystical, I like that. It's that there's always a hint of something more, but the writing is done in a way that it doesn't just leave you empty. It just tells you, okay, this is going to be fulfilled. Like, sometimes you get promises made that aren't fulfilled. I get the feeling that there's a lot being promised here that would be fulfilled in the future books as we move along. So this is one of those that comes out probably every 9 months. And for whatever reason, the dragon backs down to him. So we're getting more hints of who the character is. And again, I like the show Don't Tell. She spends the night in the tavern, but ends up with a dream with a vision of dragons. And I really like this painting of this dragon in particular. It's got a sort of a snake muscle structure underneath some of these scales. I'm not sure if that's intentional or if it just looks, like a very full neck there. She does go to the next. He gives her a box to take with her right there, and to the next city with instructions that the person you're delivering to you will meet. I think she meets the person, and we get through a little bit more of the narration, or no, seeing her interact with her dragon. We get to see her attitude. What happens across the arc of this, just in this book, her character arc is to be stripped down because she is still so arrogant and naive. So in the next town, she picks up another. Oh, where is he? No, not there. Oh yeah, they keep mentioning the dwellers. This is a footprint from the dwellers, so we haven't seen them yet. But in the next town, which is this kind of Atlantis-looking thing with the tree in the middle of it, and contrasted with the barren wastelands outside. So I like these paintings. Yeah, it's concept art, but I like these paintings. So, in fact, now what's also very creative that I appreciate about this author and artist is that every town has its own flavor. They're all just a little bit different. So the buildings in this town are, much more lived in, brightly lit, cared for, I should say. Like that. But she gets into another naive situation where she is befriended by a thief who is offering to be her guide. There's the delivery box. He gets her into trouble because they're together and he's stealing, and they get caught. And for whatever reason, instead of escaping on her steed... Did I skip the page? Oh, here we go. No, she's calling the steed there with her whistle. Instead of escaping for something she had nothing to do with, she goes back to rescue him, which is, I guess she's saving his life, but why? So she's got a weird, merciful side. There are people like this. She's naive and needs to grow up. They escape into an underground, and then and whatever happens in the underground, she's trying to ditch him because he's annoying and useless to her. They meet another little old wizard type, and she gets bad directions from him. So by the end of the book, she is on her own and totally lost. She has been stripped down completely as a character, that in all of her impatience and impudence, her just arrogant attitude, she is lost and alone. No dragon, no friends, not even bad friends. Okay? Which is worse, bad friends or no friends? And then she meets the dwellers, which is the next page that I'm not going to show you. So I appreciated the story a bit. I had trouble with the character, but once I realized what I was reading, it was a lot easier. This did come with a second book, and I'm sorry, book 2 of Myre is coming out. This came with a second book that is told almost entirely in pictures. So it's another little adventure for this. It's set in the same world, but totally unrelated characters here. So it's another, book of paintings and concept art. So the real selling point I found, when I didn't know enough about the story, was that this was the art, of course. And then, so I hope the flip through has been, enjoyable to look at. If you didn't like listening, of course, but turn the volume down and, just look. I only review things that I recommend. So if you are open to characters that need to grow up, where you might not like at first, just like an anime, then this would be a good book for you. It is really just beautifully done, even though, yeah, a lot of it qualifies as concept art. So there we go. Thanks for your time.